The opposite of happiness is boredom. I think 4 or 5 years ago, I totally believed that, even if I would have never admitted it. And now I think I've changed my mind. So I think the opposite of happiness is suffering, but I don't think that boredom is suffering. If you think of boredom as kind of like the absence of activities, I think about this, we've been kind of alluding to the pandemic. I feel like I don't know if we're all ready to not talk about that anymore. I'm not quite there yet. I'm still processing. I remember exactly 3 years ago, sitting in my house, watching my usually full Google Calendar, like just a blue block, all the things just disappearing, all the trips getting canceled, all the meetings are canceled, and suddenly everything's opening up and freaking out. Just thinking like, who am I if I don't have meetings? Who am I if I'm not traveling, if I'm not getting new experiences, if I'm just alone with my thoughts? And one of the things that I did during that period is I was reading a lot of Stoic philosophers, I was working on writing my book, and started getting a lot more comfortable with the idea that you can be with yourself, that there are certain aspects of a good life that don't require doing anything, that there are ways of like loving people. I thought about like I was meant to see my family this summer, all of those things got canceled. Raises this question, like, can you still love your family if you can't like go on vacation with them or have an adventure with them? Well, of course you can. You can love them just by loving them, just by like thinking about them, thinking about vacations you already had, or just thinking about how much you love them. There's an important part of life that's contemplative and that's internal, and folks like Tim Ferriss have made a pretty chunk of change by trying to trick us into forgetting that there's so much of the good life that involves what goes on in our own minds and doesn't involve doing stuff. And so maybe that's not, maybe boredom is the like experience of suffering when you're not doing something, and that could be bad. But there's plenty of moments in a good life that really don't require you to do anything. And I think building up that skill of getting comfortable with that is one of the ways that we live a good life when our plans get canceled or when our like adventures don't come to fruition. And that's a virtue as well.